Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Tom's Takes. Today I'll be talking about the great city of Chicago. Yesterday I spent an absolutely gorgeous day in Chicago. I met a couple of my friends down at the lakefront. We got there really early. We went to the 12th Street Beach. I got there around like 9:30. They got there around 9, and they already set up their beach chairs, their hammocks, and their barbecue grills and all that, and it was really fun. All I had to do was show up with my appetite, and it's nice. At that time, the parking is you're not fighting anyone for parking. There's plenty of parking. There's street parking where you have to pay the toll, and there's also a lot where you could pay for the day. And I went there, and I had a great time. My friends and I we went swimming, and then we would jump back out, and then we would grill something and eat something, and it was a good day. And I decided to make this video because my friend's wife said something. She is born and raised in the Chicagoland area. She grew up in the suburbs, but she is definitely she was born in this area, and she'll probably die in the Chicagoland area. She absolutely loves Chicago. So in a sense, she's very tribal. If anyone makes any knock against Chicago, she gets very animated. And she was talking about that she looks at some TikTok comments and some comments on social media, and people knock it, saying like, hey, you're moving up to Chicago? Well, good luck. You know, make sure you avoid the gunfire, and similar remarks like that. And my friend's wife was just getting angry just thinking about it. She's like, "You're from Tennessee. There's nothing to do in Tennessee. If you don't like our values, just stay down there." And and I thought that was kind of a funny reaction about how tribal people could get. I've got a Twitter account with a bunch of Chicago Bulls fans, and they're very much the same way. They just they defend Chicago, every bit of it, and I love Chicago. I really do. As far as I'm concerned, it's the best city that I've been in. But in my defense, I haven't been to a lot of big cities. I've never been to New York City, and I've been to Los Angeles for like a day, and it was very hard to get a sense of Los Angeles, other than it was very spread out. And I heard in Los Angeles you definitely need a car to get around, so I could definitely see that. But my friends and I, we were walking by the old Meigs Field, and I was taking a look at the skyline, and I took a picture of it. It was absolutely beautiful, and Chicago has a beautiful skyline. About 20 years ago, I was hanging out with one of my friends. That area is an area that we've been going to for like 20, 30 years. At night, we'll go smelt fishing, and we'll have a little bonfire. And I remember one of my friend's brothers, he looked at the skyline, and he says, "Hey, listen, Tom, you see the Chicago skyline? It's like it starts about here and it ends over here." I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "New York, it's about 5 times that," so I can't even imagine the scale of that. The Chicago skyline, you could see it, and it's big, but it's not. I guess I can imagine bigger, but I just can't imagine 5 times bigger. But New York seems kind of like. I don't want to judge it, but there's only a couple things I want to see in New York. I want to see the Statue of Liberty. I want to sample some of their foods. I want to see Central Park. But that's about it. I want to have a New York style pizza. I don't know if you ever watched The Office, but The Office is based in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Michael goes off to New York, and he's like, "Hey, and now I'm going to try some New York style pizza," and it pans out to Sbarro, which is funny because Sbarro is a national chain. It's not exclusively in New York. I thought that was kind of funny, but Chicago has a very pretty skyline. But with that in mind, it's nice to take pictures. But that skyline, a lot of it is offices and condos, which is fine. I mean, if you want to live in the Loop, you're walking distance to a lot of nice areas. But if you're a tourist and you're coming to Chicago, I recommend you come to Chicago. It's really a beautiful city. It's iconic. There's a lot of things you can do. For example, the comedy scene is really good. Chicago is known for their improv. I went to an improv show a couple weeks ago. I had a really good time, and they've got a couple of. They've got Zanies, which is they have tremendous local talent and national talent that comes in. So if you're into comedy, that's a good place to check out comedy. And also, if you're into Chicago cuisine, they are known for their deep dish pizza. They're known for their Italian beefs. They're known for so many their Chicago style hot dogs. So if you come in with that mindset, I would go on Yelp and or look it up to see what are the places that you could go to get the Chicago experience when it comes to fine dining, or maybe not fine dining, but the pizzas and the dogs and the beefs. You won't be if you're into that. You won't be disappointed. I've had pizza and beefs in other cities, and I don't find it nearly as good as it is in Chicago. And there's a lot of places. I would recommend coming to Chicago in the summer. I think Chicago summers are probably the best summers. When I retire, I think I'm going to move to Tampa. The only reason I'm moving to Tampa is because of the weather. Chicago, their summers last just it's getting close to the end, and then the fall's not bad, but the winter it's just kind of dreary and it's snowy, and I'm not a big fan of the winters. So I think when I'm in a position to retire, I'm going to move to Tampa, enjoy the sun year round, and if I'm able, I'll probably try to spend my summers in Chicago, and then when it gets a little bit colder, I'll get back to Tampa. But if you're visiting Chicago, I recommend you see the city. It's especially in the summer. You got the Lake Michigan. You got the bike path. It's really beautiful. So it's kind of funny. There's a couple of touristy things that I would kind of avoid. Not because they're necessarily bad. I just think it's overrated. One of my friends, he was walking through a city, and he saw this one really pretty girl trying to take selfies, and he offered to take some pictures. You know, he's like, hey, listen, I could get a better angle if I help you out. And they kind of hit it off, and it turns out that she was from Venezuela, and she said, hey, listen, I'm kind of by myself. Do you want to spend the afternoon with me? And she's like, yeah, sure. Where do you want to go? And she's like, I want to see the bean. And my friend's like, why? Why do you want to see the bean? He's like, isn't that something iconic? And my friend's like, I guess it is iconic. It's a touristy thing, but it's just this giant, I don't know what it is, steel bean. It's just literally a bean. It really doesn't do anything. So if you want to go to the bean, I'll go with you. But I think other than taking some pictures, I think you'll be disappointed. But it is in Millennium Park, and that's a nice park. There's all a bunch of kids just running around. It feels very summery. So I would suggest I wouldn't suggest not going to the bean. I just suggest you put your expectations much lower. I don't know why it's iconic. Other than that, I feel like anytime I say something, but I say but, it negates everything. But it doesn't. I'm going to say but at the same time, it doesn't negate anything I said prior. Chicago's a beautiful city. It's worth seeing. The food's excellent. Try out the touristy things. You won't be disappointed by Lake Michigan or in the summer. But at the same time, statistically, it is a little bit of a dangerous city. I believe in America, for the last several years, per capita, it has like the highest murder rate. I believe that they had, last year, they had 416 murders. And that comes down to, there's 2.7 million people in Chicago, but that's about 15 murders per 100,000 people, which seems like a lot to me. But a lot of the murders, I believe a lot of the gun violence, it's concentrated in specific neighborhoods, but that's not to say that you can't get that's not to say that you could be in a better neighborhood and still be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I do have a story about me being at the wrong place at the wrong time. It was about like 20 years ago. One of my really good friends, he got a job as a mover, and I hung out with him after work, and he had one of his moving friends with us. So we went out, we got dinner, we had a couple drinks, and the whole time we were doing that, my friend's coworker, he kept calling his wife, and she was not picking up, and he was getting angrier and angrier as the night was going on. And then he asked my friend, he's like, I can't get a hold of my wife, can I stay here? And I asked him, I'm like, hey, how far away do you live? He's like, not far. I live like maybe 20-25 minutes into the city. And I told him, listen, if I was a little bit more sober, I would drive you myself. And my friend was like, hey, listen, I'm sober, but we need to take your car because my tire keeps getting flat on me. I'm like, all right, that sounds like a plan. So we drove. My friend was driving the car, I was in the back seat, and his coworker was in the passenger seat. And we went into the city on the west side, which is not the best. I found out that it wasn't a great neighborhood. And then we're going through it by the Cook County Jail, and we're going through, and there was a car parked right in front of us, and we're right here. And they were in an altercation with a car. It was a bunch of like high school kids, and they were just yelling something. I don't know what it was, but it sounded like it was kind of just escalating. And this guy that was in one of the cars to the side, he gets up and he throws a rock at the car that was in front of us. And then these two cars just peel out, and they almost hit our car. And but the car in front of us wound up going forward, and we're like, okay, let's go. And we start going. And I asked my friend's coworker, where do you live? I mean, at this moment, I was kind of feeling, I was not feeling that safe. And he said, well, just a little bit further. So we parked the car, and he walks out, and I told my friend, as soon as we see him going inside his house, let's make sure he gets in. It's like, we got to get out of here. I do not feel comfortable. So he goes in, and I look in the back mirror, and I see some guy just running down the street. This is like 1 or 2 in the morning, just running as fast as he can, just darts. And I look back, and I'm telling my friend, Sean, look, there's some guy running. And he gets in, and then we're like, okay, that's good. He got into his house. So we got in the car. I mean, we were in the car, and then I did not feel safe until we got back on the expressway. I felt that was very, very scary. And while we were driving, my friend's cell phone rings, and the guy, it's the guy that we just dropped off. He said, hey, are you doing okay? He's like, yeah, why? He's like, well, I heard some gunfire. And we're like, gunfire? Like, wow. And that neighborhood just it's bad. A couple weeks after we dropped him off, one of the neighbor girls caught a stray in the face, and I guess it was in the middle of the day, and she was just in the front porch. So as much as I recommend going to Chicago, there are certain areas that it's best, especially at night, to avoid: the south side, the west side. I just wish there was something they could do about the gun violence, because it's kind of out of hand. It's especially on a 3-day weekend when it's nice out, you'll hear that like 100 people got shot and like 12 people were killed, and that's very, very common. So Chicago is beautiful, but it does have its violence problem. And secondly, the other structural problem that it has is that businesses are leaving. The Chicago Bears, they moved to Hammond. I don't know if that's a done deal, but it looks like that's the direction they're going. And the Magnificent Mile, a lot of the stores are shuttered. So I think between the violence and the high taxes, it's causing businesses to rethink their location, which is a shame because Chicago is a great location. But if they could fix those two problems with the violence and do something to maybe mitigate the taxes, I think it'll create it'll be a benefit to Chicago in the long run. This city's Chicago's a great city. It's worth saving. I keep hearing about budget deficits, and I just don't want to wind up like Detroit. Okay. Other than that, it's a beautiful Sunday. I suggest, if you haven't done it already, hit the lakefront, jump in the water. Just if you haven't visited Chicago, it is worth seeing in the summer. I would avoid it in the winter because it is kind of dreary. But other than that, have a great weekend, everyone.